fuck?
Oh, it's a...
What was that?
Sound.
Like, pay attention?
It's a sound.
You couldn't just say it?
Well, I can. It's just more effective.
Yeah?
Recording.
Ooh!
Recording. All right. Whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, I would be ready if you poured the drinks. David? David. Run it back, Turbo. This thing on? Where are the drinks?
Oh, sorry. Drinks?
Yeah, the one with lipstick is Nate's. I obviously don't wear makeup because I'm a natural queen.
That's what you sound like.
All right. Welcome back. Or welcome, depending on our editing decision.
Welcome.
Coping mechanisms.
We may just be continuing the same thing in different shirts.
Yeah, the girls are going to fuck it up. No question.
The girls are going to fuck.
Who? Stay tuned and find out which man I'm hiding in my closet.
All right, question.
Let's take a
I'll
little
ask the first
look-see.
one.
Can I help you with something? Like, do you want to pipe up?
Where's mine?
Yours? It's in your fucking hand.
No, but this is coffee.
Oh, that's coffee. Oh, you want a drink? Do you want a sip?
No, I'll just make my own.
Okay, that's for the best, I think. Okay.
Can
Do you need
guys
help?
do your intro? No.
Okay.
Our intro. Okay, yeah. What's our intro again? Just being really nice to each other?
I like that we're matching.
I think you're so smart.
All right. That one's not new. That one's not new. It's a little old.
I think
Kind of stale.
stale. Okay. I love your top. Where did you get it?
Off the side of the road.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because it kind of looks like a top that I had in my drawers. You're sure you didn't take it?
That's probably why it looks like it's from the side of the road.
Right. I can see how that's your point, but I see that and I raise you. Why are you wearing my shit?
Because I didn't bring my own.
Valid. Okay, we can wrap it up there. Anyway, so we've got, again, some really strict topics that we prepared and did our homework for. We're definitely not sitting here just winging it. That's not really our style.
Do you guys even have a name?
Yeah, we actually do have a name. It's called Hoe Rogan Experience. The fuck? No, I'm kidding. It's called Coping Mechanisms with Nate and Nicole. So
Yeah.
get ready to learn how to cope. Okay. Which is the one we were drawn to? You take a little scrolly scroll.
All right.
Because I think David's feedback last time was that Nicole talked too much. Right? Right.
It's not the first time I've
Right,
heard that.
so-
So it's nice that someone else said it.
Yeah,
I think.
so Nate will pipe up. Yep, Nate, do you want me to just leave? And you guys can chill?
Isn't your lease up?
Would that be helpful? Don't forget to water my plants.
Don't forget to tell the moving guys
Manifestations.
the buzzer. All right. Do you have any friendship regrets? Either people you drifted from or people you wish you stayed friends with? You first. I'll go first then. I have regrets on how I ended friendships, but I also feel like I subscribe to this very strict notion that like life is like a train. Mm-hmm. People get on, people get off. And then that other really tacky one where it's like you have friends for a reason, friends for a season, friends for life, whatever.
But when you picture it in the subway metaphor, it's so much more
Tangible.
easily accessible.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to understand. Like the subway metaphor, the second you articulate it to me, I've given it to so many other people.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
It
So
like means so much to me.
So Nate basically just says that if you kind of picture life as you're on your own train, you are going in one direction and it's your direction, people are going to get on and off because they're also on their own trains. So when people exit your life, it's not for you to take personally. It's for you to kind of sit with, meditate with, and understand. But it's not just a reflection of you. It's a reflection of someone else's journey too. So I think when Nate gave me that, it was almost like a really beneficial CBT tool, you know?
Nice.
Which is like a cognitive behavioral therapy. Which gives you very literal tools to address things that happen to you and make sense of them. And that was
in order for them to not be like a problem later.
Yeah.
I think like the subway method helps me like understand the impermanence of like human relationships, and like that's not to say that I like completely go into like relationships and friendships thinking like that they're just like
temporary.
Yeah, or objects.
Or like permeable, yeah.
I think like 100% I pretty much like I'll put the effort that needs to be put into them, especially depending on like how I see it panning out with like foresight. But I think looking back like with regret, I don't like such a cop out. I don't necessarily look back on like things with regret, but I look back on things and it makes sense as to why I dealt with them poorly at the time. Am I proud of it? No. Is it regret? Like, what can I regret? That I was like just kind of like a shitty person at the time? Not really. I'll still do whatever I can in my power to like remedy those. Like, I'll revisit things, or if I see someone, I'll like, I'll address something. I'll be like, I was wrong. Basically, like, I think I went through a very large period, like in my early 20s, where I was like ending a lot of friendships just because I realized I had the power to do that. And it was like almost a little too excitable for me, because I was like, oh my God, I can totally,
I'm not stuck.
Yeah, I can totally just tell this person I don't want to be around them ever again. And it was the most liberating, empowering thing, which is not to say that it is always right. The principle behind it is right, I would say. But I think like how you actually enact that liberation can be a reflection on your personality. And a lot of the time, like, people enact it poorly, and so they end up being the shitty person. Basically, like, my regrets are like looking back and knowing that, sometimes you don't need to be as harsh. Sometimes you don't need to be as spiteful. Sometimes you don't need to like bring up things to hurt someone, knowing that you don't owe them a kindness anymore. But I think, what are you going to do? Like, if it's in my power to, like, and I've reached that point, like, I'm happy to like revisit, even if I don't even speak to them anymore, I'm happy to revisit and be like, that was wrong. And like, I'm sorry. And it's not to be friends with them again. It's just, to
coexist.
And award peace of mind, for sure. So I would say that, like, there's not much you can do. Like, friendship regrets are like, if you wrong them, you wrong them. Like, everyone goes through those stages in their life. Like, you need to just like make sure you can remedy what you've done.
And I think, there's a lot of lessons to growing up. One being, like I said, that people's actions are not a reflection of you. They're a reflection of a lot of things. Yeah. I've read this article once where children have such a hard time with trauma because they don't have the mental capacity or the psychological toolbox to distinguish and differentiate between what people do to them and what they caused. So if a child is hurt, they immediately think, oh, I was hurt because I caused this, because I'm bad. Whereas I think as you grow up, you learn, maybe I was hurt because that person is hurt. Maybe this happened because they're feeling X, Y, Z. So I think part of growing up is that things don't revolve around you. People, again, like you said, are all on their own journeys and all making decisions that make sense to them at the time. So I think you also have to extend that same generosity and same kindness to your younger self. If you look at, like you said, like your 19-year-old self, your 18-year-old self, look at that person and extend that same forgiveness, that same benefit of the doubt, and be like, you did the best you could with the information and the tools you had at the time. So I think regret is a super loaded word. It's a super ugly word. No one wants to have regrets. Are there things I would do differently if they happened today? 100%. Do I necessarily have friendship regrets? Not really, because we both did the best we could with the information we had.
I also think
and the tools we had.
Yeah, I think looking back on those friendships that you may have ended or that you've witnessed end, if you think about that same dynamic continuing itself into your mid-20s, late 20s or whatever, like, is it sustainable? Would you have been able to learn from each other? Like, or would it have just been like the enabling Olympics where you're just like completely just like like getting angry at each other, enabling each other's toxic behaviors, because like there's nothing new teaching you something. And like I think looking back personally, no, I probably wouldn't have changed, like if I hadn't, not to say I'm some martyr for friendships, but definitely I think in the context of like ending friendships when I did, like I think it was probably worth it. I think like after ending friendships though, like it's about navigating whatever toxic behaviors you have after that. So like,
are you speaking badly about them? Are you, and I think part of that is the compatibility factor. Is one thing you'll learn as you kind of gain distance, gain perspective, is that just because someone did you wrong or you believe they did you wrong does not necessarily mean they're a bad person. It just means you're not necessarily compatible. And you will learn that along the way, you can continually spend your life trying to fit a square into a circle hole, or you can find someone that just fits. And just because someone's a square and you're a circle doesn't mean either of you are bad. It just means you don't fit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lesson you learn in relationships. You learn that just because you love each other doesn't mean you're right for each other. And I think that's a lesson you learn in friendships. Just because you love each other doesn't mean you're good for each other. You know?
I think like people think that their friendships are so much different than relationships, but they're really not. Like
you just don't fuck.
Yeah.
I mean we do.
Yeah. I mean, we're like,
some
everyone's like
do.
jealous of how we touch each other in public. They could never be us. That being said, I still hold Nicole accountable to the same standard I hold my boyfriend accountable.
But that's what I mean. Like your romantic relationships are not so different than your friendships, and boundaries are important in both of them. Compatibility, trust, mutual support, mutual respect. Those are all things that your love should work in tandem with. I know it sounds really unromantic to say that I don't believe in unconditional love, but I don't. Unless it's from parent to child, I fully believe all love should be conditional.
For sure.
I believe love should be contingent, absolutely contingent on mutual respect, mutual trust, mutual support, mutual consistency. And so I think sometimes relationships end not because the love isn't there, but because those other things that make love healthy
they can't support the facets anymore.
Yeah, and make love productive aren't there.
For sure.
And so sometimes the love has to go because the other things aren't there, and it's unfortunate. It's fucking sad. There's friends I wish I still had in my life because, you know, of many reasons, but they're not in my life, and ultimately I have to make peace with that because the tools to make that friendship sustainable, to make that friendship enduring and make it healthy for both of us just weren't there.
I think like when it comes to like friendships, I feel like I've had a lot of people really emphasize and impress on the notion that like you can't just like leave your friend or whatever. I think
you can.
And I think I've been in I can name one situation essentially where I look back on it, and this is the most recent. So it's like I'll call on a story where I noticed this friend was like checked so many boxes, like so easy to get along with, the funniest person ever, really like just like easy vibes, love to have fun, really supportive, like non-judgmental, nothing toxic. So this is like where my perception of friendships gets into I think the deeper levels where it's not like a tangential kind of toxicity. Mm-hmm. But this specific person who, you know, obviously like all the power to this person, is like such a good person, but also held very poor judgment and made very poor decisions for their own life. So they were inviting a lot of, you know, let's say dangerous people into their life, or, you know, people that with my foresight, I was seeing as this is going to be a problem in the long run. This is not a safe environment. This is just like, whatever. You have to essentially make that evaluation. Like, is this going to be a problem for me and this person later on? You know, is this person heeding?
Are they feeding kind of their darker impulses?
And like,
do I have to stick around and
exactly.
tolerate it?
And you can't change someone's mind. You can't tell them to not feed into those impulses. Everyone learns on their own volition. Essentially with this person, I just like, I took the time. I think that's like a common misconception is that you just immediately cut them off. Like, no, I took my time
You try.
for months.
You try. It's when you start hurting yourself in the process of trying that you have to make the decision to, do I continue to put myself in spaces that aren't safe and aren't beneficial to
100%.
me for this person's benefit? Or do I take myself and remove myself and put myself in a better, more productive, more constructive place? 100%. And I think that's what you do.
Exactly. And I think like looking back on that, it was like evaluating their judgment skills and mine and being like, this does not match up. This is going to be a problem later on. I'm going to find myself in situations with these people who are toxic to this person's life. Like, I don't want that in my life at all. And that's what I mean. Like, I'll take my time with that, where I'll spend a lot of time not policing their behavior, but more so just saying like, hey, this is, this is like really, do you maybe see this is not going to be a good decision for you later on? Do you see that this is going to be very dangerous? Like, and if there's a recklessness to that, or just a heedlessness.
Or for me, it's if I've given advice multiple times and it hasn't been taken, how many times am I going to waste my own breath? You know? There's a lot of times when you're speaking to someone and maybe it looks like they're listening, but they're not.
Yeah.
And it's very evident, very apparent they're not listening. And at a certain point, you have to prioritize a space where you're heard, a space where you're acknowledged.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you can spend your whole life trying to change someone, trying to fix someone, but they will only fix when they're tired of their own shit. Not when you're tired of their shit. When they have they've grown weary of their own bullshit holding them back.
100%.
So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's for the best that you just remove yourself. You wait for them from a distance, not actively. You wait for them to tire of their own things. And when they're ready to make a meaningful change and they seek out your guidance, seek out your assistance, then you make yourself available.
100%.
What the fuck do you want? Oh, you want to change? Oh, you want to change?
100%. I would never like look at them and be like, I'm not available for you anymore. If you have a revelation that you've come to and you need like a second opinion on it, 100% I'm available for that. Should we move on to the next question?
Looks like David wants to wrap it up.
All right.
Which one do we like? Do we like this one?
Fuck this one, because this is worded so weirdly.
Okay, so I'll paraphrase it. I was dating a guy for 2 months and I told him no sex yet, but that he could sleep with other girls. And then he dropped me after he said that wasn't a problem. Could someone actually invest 2 months just waiting for sex?
I think that question has like two different questions in it, which is like, why did he drop me after I gave him the green light? And then the second thing is like, which is so bizarre that there needs to be this allowance in relationships. But basically like, after I communicated and awarded him what he wanted, why did he ghost me? And then the second part is like, can someone invest that much time when they only just want sex?
And I think the answer to the second question is yes. People can do a lot of things to attain what they want. So don't keep yourself awake at night wondering, oh, like maybe I missed something. Maybe he wanted more. People are capable of a lot of things to get what they want. So I think we should would someone really invest 2 months only for sex right off the table? Because what I'm gathering from this question is that this man was always entertaining a lot of options. So the second one of his options was a little difficult. Bye. You know?
Yeah.
And I think the first question, which you articulated a little bit better.
Like why did he leave me after I
greenlighted his other needs?
You gave him the green light. So he doesn't feel like he needs to invest that much emotional labor. And what I think a lot of, I won't even say all women, but like me personally, what I would consider emotional labor is like emotional presence, conversational
awareness,
spending time together. So, once you give them, they don't feel like they need to. I think in a lot of situations, like people will invest and they'll feign emotional labor and interest in order to attain what they want.
To me, this guy never needed permission. I think this guy, from what I gather, always had multiple women.
He needed permission to not entertain you anymore.
That's what I think. I think he needed a reason to end it with his prospect that wasn't rewarding him.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I know this sounds very tough, very harsh, but what I'm gathering from this man is that he was not invested. And the second you made it difficult, he pulled back.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It's hurtful. But ultimately, it is a gift because now you are free to find someone who will truly reciprocate your energy,
100%.
your investment, your value.
He just paved the road for you.
100%.
So.
100%. When the trash takes itself out, we say thank you.
We say which day?
We say thank you. Usually I do this on Thursdays.
We say on the sidewalk.
Okay. Do you want to read this one?
All right. Opinion/reasons on guys following Instagram models. I'm struggling to see if I should start a fight or let it be.
Oh, baby. I always start a fight. I'm kidding.
Always address whatever you want. But basically,
Yeah.
I feel like I used to have like an opinion on it, gotten in a newer relationship that held different contexts, developed a new opinion on it, and then through that developed back to my original opinion, which is
I think revision is always healthy.
100%.
I think it's only natural to change your mind as you gain experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
I think like personally,
I just burped. Hope you guys didn't hear that.
I think personally just I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, if anything, like this is gonna sound like the harshest thing ever. It's not fun because we want to analyze, we want to think critically about, you know, what our partners are doing, who they're following, what they're liking. The two things, I can only speak on personal experience, the two things that I look back on my own personal life and look at is like, how quickly do I like things on Instagram? Like
without
a thought. Yeah. I like things so fucking quickly. And then like I'll just be like, oh my God, that looks great. Mm-hmm. Like, beach photo looks amazing. Like, oh my God, they look like they're having fun. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Or if it comes to their body, they look great. Like, you just have, I think the question does stem from whatever relationship you do have with your partner. Ultimately, when it comes to like who they're following, this is going to sound kind of harsh, but like that is only one facet that you get to see of who they are privy to looking at. They have browsers on their phone. They can look at whoever they want. They can watch whatever videos they want without you knowing. So, I mean, you can't police everything. You really can't.
I definitely don't believe in policing behavior.
I don't
think
either.
People do what they want regardless. What I will say is that I don't think you should self-censor with a partner. I think you should be comfortable to bring up whatever you want to bring up. That being said, obviously, sometimes, like I said, you have darker thoughts, weaker impulses that you do have to manage internally. What I would say with this question is, if he was following them prior to you dating, I wouldn't make an issue of it. If he started following a bunch of new models, a bunch of new Instagram girls after you were together and after you established exclusivity and commitment, I'd probably take issue with that. You know, if I...
Naturally, I think I would too.
Yeah, if I was dating a guy and we decided we were just for each other, and all of a sudden the next day he's following 10 new Instagram girls, I'm going to be like...
Couldn't help but notice. I think ultimately, like, I personally also don't believe in self-censoring. Like, I know that, like really, like, the notion of, like, this person doesn't have to know because it sounds like it's going to be an issue. To me, personally, I have nothing to hide. I know when I have nothing to hide, I'll just tell you straight up, like, this person was there, I'm following this person, or this person, you know, sent me a story reply or whatever.
Do I do that?
What?
I don't always do that.
No, you don't have to always do it. I think it's like, I do understand the concept of like omitting something to protect someone's feelings. Do I necessarily agree with it? I'm not proud when I've done it in the past. And do I agree with it? No, I think like we
No.
should definitely live in a world where like we can just like openly communicate with each
I think
other.
we all do it naturally without even intending to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're in situations and it's so much easier just to go with it than to make a deal out of it.
I think
That being said, every time it's happened to me, I'm always like, you have to give me the respect as an adult to make my own decisions. So you have to give me the information.
Yeah.
If you're with someone or in a situation where I might be uncomfortable, you have to give me the information so I can make my own call.
Yeah.
And I have learned to extend that courtesy to people I'm with too. They get to make their own decisions. I don't get to make the decision for them that, oh, this isn't a big deal. It's whatever. It doesn't hurt them. It's not my call. It's theirs.
Yep.
So I think an overabundance of information seems like a lot, and sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to feel stupid. But ultimately, it is better.
It is. I agree.
It really is.
I really agree. Like, I don't know. I have to pee. No. So
Nicole, take it away.
Again?
Again, it was Nicole the first time.
Okay. So is it just Nicole, or should we wait till she pees?
We could just...
Babe, how full is your bladder? Like, how big is this pee? Is it a real pee, or do you have IBS? It's real pee. Okay, guys, it's real pee. She's actually just peeing. So I'll just read the question, and I'll let it marinate in my own brain.
Okay, so I got a...
Oh, do you? What do you got, David?
Did you guys get my WhatsApp?
Yeah, I got your WhatsApp. I ignored
I think
it.
it's important that we we inform people that they can be more involved with it if they like what they're hearing.
I think you just did.
Hmm?
Tell the camera.
Wait, are we gonna use this stuff? Well, I mean, anyway,
Well, maybe.
Like, if you guys like what you're listening, you want advice, please submit questions to Nicole's Tumblr or an email.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I
an
feel
Instagram.
I think Tumblr's nice because it's anonymous, so people don't have like their
Right.
maybe it's their work email or something. But that's a very good point from our producer / our bartender / our fucking everyman, David Choi. What the fuck is up? Thank you for being here. And he just wanted me to remind you that if you have questions, if there's something you'd like us to address, if there's something you think we can bring a little insight to, you can always ask me on Tumblr, which is NicoleIndiaberry.tumblr.com. Or you can email me if you've got big brass balls. But if not, Tumblr's great, and I check that all the time. So while we wait for Nate to finish her pee, it seems like it's a long one.
Oh, it's a long one. I was also wondering, should we mention or should we wait till we actually get some viewers? Maybe we should do like a Kickstarter so we can actually get like a soundboard, like a sound mixer.
Oh, do we? Oh, so it appears we're poor and we need some equipment.
We're just using like a really ghetto setup right now.
We're just using some shit that we already had. So if people want to hear more and they want better content, then, you know, put your money where your mouth is.
I mean, maybe later we'll have like a Kickstarter or like a Patreon or something, but
Yeah.
for now we'll just have to do this.
I think right now people are gonna like either like what we have to say or not.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, she's back.
I didn't leave.
She left.
I did leave for a bit.
Should I read this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Anonymous said, my boyfriend has been hitting up girls inappropriately for a lot of our relationship, parentheses, 1 year, close parentheses. He cut off his problematic female friend and blocked her on everything. He is actively making an effort to prove he's trying. He does genuinely care about me, but I have all these insecurities, and because he hasn't cut off all these other girls, I don't know what to do. Once those people are cut, I definitely would trust him to put the right foot forward. This is his first relationship, so I think he's also learning what's acceptable. What do you think? To me, okay, to me, this question is already doing a lot to self-justify. I think included in this question are already a lot of excuses. And I think the least you can do for yourself in a romantic relationship is not make excuses for your partner. At least let them make their own. So to me, this question is already doing too much work to justify the relationship. And that's where my concerns come up, is I'm like, okay, it already sounds like you are jumping through mental hoops to make this work.
I think the answer lies in the first part of the question, which is my boyfriend is inappropriately hitting up.
Yeah.
girls,
Yeah.
I mean, if you deem it inappropriate, like
You've already made your decision.
You've made your decision, and no judgment. 100% if you stick around, you have your reasons for trying.
No. We all got to learn the hard way. 6
We
or
did.
7, 37 or 39 times. Let me tell you.
1 or 9 times.
A few times.
But I think like witnessing him doing 40% of what he needs to actually be doing, I feel like it's either, let me preface by saying that a lot of people, I think, who will be caught doing toxic things will say, this isn't an overnight change. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Time,
Yeah, like don't expect me to just change overnight. That does hold some validity, where I think like
I think
in some in some instances it holds validity, like in terms of like, let's say something as small as like a boyfriend who, you know, interrupts you when you're at a dinner or something. Like that's something that's like, hey, I don't like that, please don't do that. And then they need to learn how to like unpack that and unlearn that behavior. When it comes to like, hey, this is inappropriate.
this is making me uncomfortable.
This is making me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know the context of these inappropriate messages, but if it's inappropriate and you feel like and I feel like a lot of women can critically analyze what a message looks like, and they know exactly what their boyfriend is saying, then you answered your own question. Like, just because he cut out some girls but not all.
I do think that this message answers itself, because I think it's a mistake to assume you would trust him just because he blocked one girl, because to me this is a pathology, not an isolated incident. If it was an isolated incident of one girl he followed, one girl he messaged, but to me it sounds like a pattern that he's not necessarily invested in healing.
Yeah.
And I think naturally when you're in a relationship and you love someone and you're obsessed with them, I think you naturally become very malleable, and you, without even being conscious of it, shape yourselves to fix them. So the fact that he's making a point to be like, hey, I've done these little things, to me, it's already too difficult. It's already too hard.
Yep. I think like if you just see that he's like perpetuating his own pattern, like at some point you need to just like think that like
it doesn't need to be this hard.
It's also not your job.
It's not your job
to intercept that pattern. It's not your job to change that.
It's his job when he's ready, and again when he's sick of his own shit, to finally change. It's not your job to sit around and wait.
Yeah.
Because there's a million people out there that will already be exactly who you need them to be.
I also think that like we should also say that we're not like speaking out of some self-righteous,
oh my god,
like off some self-righteous
certainly not.
pedestal. Not at all. I think like we've all been there, and like it's like through empathy, it is like the hardest thing to deal with, because you want to think that your partner, especially in this question, like someone you've been with for over a year,
I think we all naturally make excuses for our partner.
You want to believe that they are this like
person,
amazing version of themselves, because you know it's so much easier. It takes like, you know, that like saying it takes like less muscles
mental
to smile,
work,
or like less muscles to smile than it is to frown. And like to me, like I always think that it takes the same, takes less muscles to just like accept things as they are than to actually critically analyze.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of a phenomenon called confirmation bias, where it's much easier for your brain to seek out information that validates what it already thinks than it is to consider information that contradicts it. So it's so much easier to look at the person you're with, and when you love someone, naturally you see them with rose-colored glasses. It's so much easier to seek out information that validates that and be like, yes, that person is who I think he is. He does love me. He does care. And that's so much easier to digest, to process, than it is to digest things that suggest and even directly confirm that maybe he's not as in it as you are.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to swallow. It's a really, really hard pill to swallow. And that's why there's absolutely no judgment from us, no judgment from anyone when you go back, when you make excuses, when you bend over backwards to confirm your psychological narrative. But ultimately, you asked a question and we have an answer and we don't think this guy is it.
Yeah, 100%. I think you have your answer. We both pretty much stick to that. Is that like you already know? So.
All right, you want to read this one?
Sure. How do you get over anxiety?
Last one. How do you get over? Thank you, David Choi. Thanks, David.
How do you get
Shut
over?
up, David.
Ew, David.
David.
How do you get over anxiety over how you're perceived by others? For example, sometimes they'll say at a party, wow, they probably think I'm dumb / I came across as so weird and I can't stop thinking about it. I'll let you answer this one first. Nicole goes to a lot of parties where people don't like her.
Honestly, T.
Wig.
But I mean, I think anxiety, it is ultimately a disease. I think don't underestimate it. Acknowledge that anxiety it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing, and you need help to deconstruct it. Because for me, anxiety is this brick wall. It's a massive brick wall in front of me that I can't get past. Sometimes I can't check my own email because I'm so anxious about what I'll see. So I know that sometimes I need help taking down one brick at a time until it feels like I can get through it. So one, I think, don't feel like you have to go at this alone. Understand that this is a massive, massive thing that people will help you go through. So I think, one, reach out to your friends. Go to this party with friends, people that you are comfortable with, people that you feel genuinely
make sure you have a
safe
home
with.
to return to at that party.
So if I were to go to a party and I know I have social anxiety, I would go with someone like Nate, someone where I know I feel safe with, someone I know understands me. So one, I think, kind of load up your truck, like pack the things you need to go on this trip that you're going on. If you need a friend, if you need a family member, if you need XYZ, pack the things you need. And then I think try your absolute best to be incredibly, incredibly aware of that voice inside your head. That little, let's name her. Let's name anxiety. Let's name her Karen. Let's name her fucking Karen. Okay, so be incredibly cognizant of Karen. Listen to her. When she speaks, listen and challenge her. Because I think one of the issues that we have is that when we hear these internal voices, we just let them speak. We let them speak without contradicting, without asserting our own voice. So I think when Karen speaks and she's like, oh God, you sound dumb as fuck, be like, no, I actually think I sounded good. I think I spoke in the right place. I think I spoke about something I have knowledge on. I think I spoke thoughtfully and I think I spoke correctly. So fuck off, Karen. So I think 1, pack your toolkit. 2, challenge the voice. And 3, do your best to add an objective voice. So you have Karen, you have you, and do your best to add a third voice that's as objective as possible. So when Karen's speaking, when you're speaking, throw in this alternative, this third voice that says, hey, everyone's drunk, no one cares that much. You know?
I think looking the two things that I practice is what advice would you give to someone in this situation? Because most of the time you're not going to take your own advice, but ultimately if you saw yourself standing there asking yourself the same question,
speak to yourself like a best friend.
Exactly.
Always. If you can't speak to yourself kindly, picture your best friend and say, what would I say to you if you were coming to me with this issue? Exactly. If Nate came to me and was like, hey, I think I just said something really stupid, I'd say, okay, cool, let's take a shot and let's move on.
Yeah.
So do that to yourself. Yeah. Do that to yourself.
I think I recently just watched this thing that was reinforced, I think, what pretty much every type of cerebral video loves to talk about, which is you are you are in control of your own reality.
You are the architect.
You are in complete control. Everyone's perception of you is fake. But it's not real.
That's not to say that you're the only designer. No. Obviously things happen to you. Things are unfortunate. There's things that are out of your hands. So don't ever overestimate other people's effect. So don't sit there and be like, I'm in total control. If I feel like shit, it's only my fault. It's not. It's absolutely not.
No.
Things happen. Life is big. Life is difficult. But do what you can to make your mind a safe place.
100%. And ultimately, you need to understand that, like, if you don't have the confirmation that these people are saying these things about you or thinking these things about you, it's all in your head. You are in control of deciding that that is not real. So something that is not real, but you feel like you're like, I have strong foresight. I know, usually I'm always right. Like, oh, like this makes so much sense to me. Essentially, it's not real. Like, sadly, which is not to say that you should invalidate your own intuition. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But ultimately, it's not real. And what's not real is
it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It means that you have the power to dismantle it.
Yeah. 100%.
To take it apart piece by piece.
100%. Anyways, that's it. You just gotta like enter the room knowing that like whatever is thrown your way, you have the control. You have the power to control. Basically, okay. The way I'll close this is like I had a friend who was a regular CBT patient, which is not to say that like I just don't want to leave this out. Like I would love to go to CBT. It's just that I myself have not found the willpower to actually do it. But basically she told me years ago that with people's opinions, which is something that she struggled with, her therapist told her.
It's a little gift.
Love her. She told her that imagine someone walks up to your table and puts a gift down. It is up to you whether or not you accept that gift or if you leave it on the table. That is the power you hold with opinions. That's the power you hold with objective thoughts, like extenuating forces.
If someone takes negative things and they think a negative way about you and they put it on your table, you don't have to bring it into your home.
You don't have to accept it.
You do not have to.
Not at all.
You can take that box and you can throw that shit to the garbage man.
100%.
Happy fucking Thursday. Take that shit out. Like, you do not have to invite that into your home. It is not your obligation to invite external opinions into your internal space. Like, it's not.
Agreed.
It's not.
Anyways, that's it. That's how.
Anyway, David wants us to wrap it up, so
We want to thank we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to our technical producer David Choi.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
For keeping us on track.
Freedom, baby.
And yeah, Nicole looks good in her dress today. Just once though.
And Nate looks hot in my bodysuit.
All right,
that's
she had
right.
to say my
Mine.
bodysuit.
That imperial drive dies hard, baby. Let me take what's yours.
You thought you could own things? Can't own anything.
Also, if you're wondering if we're drunk, the answer is